What's up, people? Welcome to another edition of the New Breed Show, the world's best music show, podcast, video, what have you, covering everything brutal, new, death, hard, slam, grind, thrash, core, metal. I am one half of your hosting duo, Jay Horskow. With me, I have just my partner in crime, the notorious TAM, Tim Anderson Jr. How's it going, Tim?
Fucking great.
All right, he's excited.
What a lovely freezing night.
Oh, I love it. I love it. When it was hot this weekend, I was like, get me out of here. Get me fucking out of here. Move. I got to move to like Wyoming or something. South Dakota, whatever. Yeah. All
Welcome
right. So
to New Breed, where every show we talk about the weather.
We start with the weather. It's like the world's worst weather report because it's like fucking a month and a half after it actually happened. So we're back to just Tim and I because this is an episode we talked about doing for quite a bit, but we never got around to it. We got a little bit of free time now, so we're figuring we'd knock it out. So what we're going to do, and this is the first of two parts, we're going to do Tim and I's top 20 picks for best nu metal albums. So between Tim and myself, what are the albums, the top 20 albums we think deserve to be remembered in the nu metal genre? However, there was a caveat. We both specifically agreed to gentlemen's rules, no big names, no big ticket items. So what does that mean? No Limp Bizkit, no Linkin Park, no Korn, no Slipknot, none of those big name bands, right? Because then the whole album list will be filled with all the shit you all heard before. So I know on my list, I've got some probably obscure stuff. I know Tim's going to have some as well. So for the purposes of this episode, we're going to go through number 20 through number 11 for both of us. We'll give our reasons why this made the list. We'll talk about why it's higher or lower than other albums on our list. And we're basically just going to, drink a couple of beers and vamp. So if this sounds like you're going to be interested, keep watching. So Tim, pick a number between 1 and 10.
9.
I picked 4 and the answer is 5. So I was closer. So I'm going to go first.
Okay. All
right. So for Jay's pick of the top 20 best nu metal albums of all time, number 20 for me, I'll give you the year. Take a guess. 2001.
Oh, that's too hard.
They made one nu metal album.
No clue, man.
You love their guitarist.
Just say it.
Chimera. Passed out of existence.
Okay.
So this was this was a tough exercise, right? To get to 20. At first we said 25, and then 25 seemed to be too hard. And then we got it back to 20. It's like, man, I probably could have got it like 45. So why did I pick this number 20? So we did a deep dive on this album. I still think it's too long. It's too many songs, right? What is it? 14 songs? Yeah. I still think it's a little too long, maybe about 3 to 4 tracks. That being said, it was almost, when it came out, the perfect amalgamation of the heavier brand of nu metal at the time and what the band was going to become when they swung into that new wave of American heavy metal with Shadows Fall and Killswitch and all that sort of stuff. And 6 members. There was a guy playing a keyboard / sampler, so questionably it's nu metal. If you go back to their Farm Club appearance, they wore Jenkos. They were fucking nu metal. Sorry, they were nu metal.
That's a nu metal record. I
mean,
I think even if you ask the band, they're going to tell you that's a nu metal record. I mean, because and also you got to think, like, after that record, they even said, like, we wanted to get rid of the 7 strings and that look, and we wanted to get heavier. Right. Which, I mean, it's crazy that you got heavier after that record too.
I know, right? Because as far as the pantheon of heavy nu metal bands, that's out there, right? That's out there with your Dry Kill Logics, with your Down the Suns, with your heavier, like the stuff that Slipknot showed that it was okay to go a little bit for what was at the time brutal.
Yeah. I mean, you go from drop A to drop C on a 6 string. That is what, 2 octaves up, and it's still super heavy.
Yeah.
Maybe heavier.
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree.
So some of the songs on that record, man, are just like my all-time favorite, like Rizzo. And it's not because of Stefan from Deftones wrote it or is on it or whatever. It's just a fucking banging track. It's just I think a lot of them songs just had really, really cool song structures and riffs and stuff, but You got to give that to the dude who's playing guitar with Rob, and I fucking forget his name.
Oh, Matt, right? The redhead, right? Matt DeVries?
No. Matt DeVries came in after this.
Oh, okay.
This was Jason Hagar.
Yes.
He left because his wife was having a kid and he was a tattoo artist, blah, 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 blah. But he wrote a lot of the riffing on there. And I mean, that's probably another reason. I see. This is why I always wanted to get Rob on, because I wanted to ask him about like why they went to that direction. And it's probably because Jason left. Because it seems like Jason was the one who was, because if you watch the Farm Club, you could see Jason in there. He's got the typical hair and all that stuff. So
yeah, right. So,
but yeah, great fucking pick, man.
Do you think if he stuck around, their next album would have been even more NuMetal? Is that what you're thinking?
I don't want to say that because I'd rather have one of the guys from the band say it.
Okay. Yeah. All right, fair enough. Yeah,
I don't want to and I don't want to seem like I'm putting words in people's mouths and kind of stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, that's fair.
I don't really like that shit, but amazing record, man.
Yeah, I mean it's a great album. It holds up. Like if you go back now, if you remember this album when you were younger and you go back and listen to it now, it's still a good album to listen to. If you've listened to it recently, there's still, there's 14 tracks on this thing, and I swear there's a good 9-10 of them that are really, really, really good. So stuff like Forced Life and stuff like Severed, Split, just good tracks on this album. It's good tracks on this album.
Yeah, I mean, even like the ones in the very end are just brutal too. Like they went all out on that record, man. I don't think there's a bad track on that record.
There's some of the stuff I really wasn't. I really didn't like Sphere. Now I'm looking at my notes.
I love that track.
Options, But otherwise, no, Rizzo's great. Yeah, no, they're definitely a band who puts some bangers in the second half, because the best song on what is it? The album after this is, what is it? The second to last song. So.
Oh yeah, you do like that one, yeah.
Yeah,
Let Go is
deep cut.
Let Go is a perfect opener.
Yeah,
it's just like that guitar part. Like that album is so fun to play on guitar too.
Yeah, the solos show what they're going to do later. It definitely sounds NuMetal. Like it sounds NuMetal. But yeah, this was my pick for number 20.
I did a guitar cover of Rizzo. We'll have to put it into the notes. I did it in fucking plaid pajama pants one night. I was just bored, and I just whipped out the 7-string, and I was like, "Let me learn Rizzo real quick," and then I just fucking recorded it.
You own anything more than a 7, Tim? You own an 8? Have you fucked around with an 8 yet?
I used to have a 8, and I fucking hated it. And
the neck is too big.
It's just too flubby for me. It sounds like garbage.
Yeah, I mean, with that many strings, you're basically using piano wire, right?
Yeah,
basically,
it was. I would jam on one again, but I bought it and sold it like 3 days later. I got the same amount of money, so whatever.
Oh, well, then that's a good investment. That's a good investment.
Definitely. All right.
So what do you have for number 20?
I'm gonna go with Coal Chamber's self-titled record.
Really?
And I'm gonna tell you why. I think chamber music is the better record, but the first Coal Chamber to me is one of the first NuMetal albums I've ever heard, and it's always just stuck with me as a fun record. And I just remember buying it at Best Buy, man, when I was young, and just getting on the bus to go home and popping it into my Discman and just being blown away, like that young ears, just being like, dude, this is the heaviest thing ever. Because when you're that young and you listen to something like that, it's the heaviest thing ever to you. And it's just stuck with me ever since. And don't get me wrong, when you listen to it now, it's like generic as hell, and it's just super.
That's because everybody ripped it off, right?
Yeah.
Is that why it's generic, Tim? Because everybody ripped it off to the point where there's almost no originality left?
Yeah, but it does. I mean, I guess coming from a guitar player standpoint, like it's so easy to play. But also when I listen to it again, like the drummer he's a fucking good drummer.
Yeah, he's a beast.
He really is, man. And like Meeg's just like, he wrote simple guitar riffs, but they were fun to listen to.
Yeah.
And they were like who doesn't like Big Truck? You know what I mean?
Yeah, Big Truck and Bradley and Sway.
Dude, I love Brad. Like
Clock.
After Loco,
Clock.
It
counts for fears.
If you listen to the record after Loco, it's a dark record. It's very dark.
It's not terrible. I mean,
Not at all.
I will say this though, Tim. For what it was when it was a standout. I don't think it holds up as well. Like if you go back now and listen to it, I don't think it's.
Well,
it's not like the Chimera album.
Yeah, I think Chamber Music's a better record, and that one holds up for me because it's got a lot of fun riffs on it as well. And I love that people hate the Ozzy track. I love that track.
Shock the Monkey? Really?
Yeah, I just think it's so stupid. It's fun. Is that's a cover, right?
Yes.
Is it a cover? Okay.
Yes.
It's just funny. It's just so dumb. It's funny. But there's a lot of cool songs on there, like Burgundy and stuff, that's really good. And it's just, I mean, I hate the distortion on that record, but I love that record. But yeah, the first Cold Chamber, it's very dark. It's got a great bass tone to it. And I think a lot of bands just took, they stole a lot from that band, and they have a lot to.
Yes.
NuMetal has a lot to give to that band, whether you like it or not.
Oh, absolutely. They're up there with Korn, sort of the progenitors of NuMetal. Can I tell you this? They didn't make my list.
Wow.
They did not make my list. And actually, when you said it, I'm like, I didn't even think about that. But then I took a beat and I went, yeah, I wouldn't have added them anyway. So yeah, so that's a famous omission. I did not. Cold Chamber does not show up my list.
Okay.
All right, so 19.
That's basically it. Yeah, let's do it.
19. So for 19, for me, I'm going to go from 2001 to 1997. The lone NuMetal band on Jive Records, Head Planet Earth. With their self-titled album. I went back and listened to this. So in doing this list, I went back and listened to all this stuff to figure out where it's going to sit on the hierarchy. And there is no denying that the first 6-7 tracks of this album are great. Like they're literally great. They are fun to listen to. The sampling is there and it's not overdone. And the guitar riffs, I forget what his name is, Scuzz or whatever it is, West Style.
I don't know.
It works really well. And I guarantee you go back and listen to them, you'll go, shit, this is a fun album. This is a fun album.
I haven't heard that record in fucking ages.
Go back and listen to it. It's not bad. I will tell you this, though. The deeper cuts get a little tougher. I'm a B-side guy, and after like 7, 8, you're like, okay, all right, we're getting a little long in the tooth here. But Shane was right. I actually went to their greatest hits, and I listened to a whole bunch of shit in their catalog. Every album, they're good for at least 2 to 3 really good songs.
Yeah, see, that's why I like that our lists are going to be different, because then I can go back and be like, oh, yeah, you know what? Maybe this is good. But Head PE was just always one of them bands that were just too weird for me.
Okay. See, I like the weirdness. That's what kind of caught my ear with them. It was a little bit bonkers. That, and I saw them at the truck where the guy was using the angle grinder on the keyboard and there was sparks flying everywhere. I'm like, well, this is kind of interesting, because those are back in my younger days when I was up front. But yeah, I think if you like some of that rappy music that's on the radio, check it out. I think some people might like it.
Yeah, I think they're like a younger kid band.
Yeah.
They're like a band that like a 14, 15-year-old catches on to, in my opinion.
And I'm not sure if I want to go see them with Crazy Town and Edema. Like, I really want to see Crazy Town. Are they coming back around? Yeah, they're touring together. It's Crazy Town, Edema, Flaw, and Head PE, I think.
Ugh, crazy.
You went, I'm like, oh man, I gotta fucking get tickets to this.
Where's it at?
I don't know. I'll look it up. But oh man, Head PE, Flaw, Edema tour.
It's probably at like a bar down the street from me.
It's probably at the Nail. It's the NuMetal Madness tour. Crazy Town, Head PE headlining with Crazy Town, Edema, and Flaw. Where are the dates? Oh, I don't know. Where are the dates?
Did it get canceled yet?
They're playing Harpo's in Detroit.
The Flaw guy was using the N-word on stage and they canceled the whole tour.
Is it him or is the Trapped guy?
Nah, the Flaw dude was using it on, I think it was him. He was calling like a sound guy the N-word. It was like, what the fuck is this?
Well, the only show that's been announced so far is Harpo's, it looks like, but they are planning it.
The NuMetal tour. We're only playing one city though.
Yeah, it sounds about right. Although nowadays, what did Sean say? They're basically a head PE cover band with just what's his name out front, Jared.
Yeah.
What's the band that we can't ask about?
The one with that horrible video.
Oh, with the video and he had the striped suit on.
Yeah, we should react to that. Send it over. Tell them to come on.
Never come on the show. They'll never come on the show. But all right, yeah, that was my track 19. I think it was a little bit more accessible than Chimera to me. I think if Chimera hadn't been a one and done new metalish band, I would have maybe ranked them a little bit higher. But to me, Head PE was more enjoyable, listenable.
Hey, that's why it's our list and nobody else's.
All right, Tim, what do you got for 19?
I'm gonna go with Dry Kill Logic with The Dead and Dreaming.
The Dead and Dreaming you went with. Okay.
Listen, man, A Vengeance and Violence is a fucking amazing record to me. I just think that I think in the later half, it fizzles down a little bit and the tracks aren't as memorable. To me, Dead and Dreaming, I think every track is good on that record. I think that's I think that's where they're at their best. The first record has good tracks, but what's it called again?
The Darker Side of Nonsense.
Yeah. I know that it's a good record. It just doesn't hold for me for some reason. I mean, I enjoy it. It just the Dead and the Dreaming and the record after it just hold way better for me in terms of going back and listening to it. And the Dead and Dreaming was one of them records, like, because I remember like I was way into nu metal, and then of course I went to the death metal and the you know, the metalcore, but then I started hanging out with different people and I started getting back into nu metal because they were listening to it. And that was one of the first records I heard getting back into nu metal. And it's just always been there for me as one of my favorite records.
Tim, is that Paper Tiger? Is that Dead and Dreaming?
Yeah. Just very catchy songs.
Talk about catchy. That is a catchy, heavy song.
Yeah, the drumming is phenomenal in that record. I mean, it's a lot of this. It's not. That's the thing about nu metal. A lot of the music is simple to play, but it's also songs that you remember in your head and they get stuck in your head. And I think that's the main difference between a lot of genres in metal. That's why a lot of people stick with nu metal, because a lot of this shit gets stuck with you. And that's just one of the records for me. Another band I would just love to talk to.
I think nu metal by and large has good sound writing, which is why you said, they're easy to play.
Yeah.
So it's easy to play, but it still sticks in your mind because not only is it good sound writing, but truth be told, a lot of nu metal's popularity ties to the aesthetic.
Yeah.
It was an aesthetic movement that kind of sucked everything in.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think a lot of people would say that that's a metalcore record. It's not. It's a really just heavy nu metal record. And I mean, maybe A Vengeance and Violence and the newer stuff has metalcore in it, but nah, that's a nu metal record. The first one is a definite nu metal record.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
I mean, it don't get more nu metal than that.
No, I mean, 2001. Yeah, it was straight up nu metal.
Yeah. And then when you listen to Dead and Dreaming, it has the same riffings, it has the same elements. It just has a little bit of moshy parts added in there. But a lot of bands were doing that because that was the popular thing at that time. So you gotta. That's why I get annoyed when a lot of kids these days are like, "Oh, yours a nu metal band." No, they're not. That's not nu metal.
No.
That's wannabe groove deathcore shit. Enough.
Yeah, that's proto deathcore, because Amur was the same time as early Attila, as I Lay Dying, as the MySpace stuff. Suicide Silence was taking off.
Exactly. I just I have to control myself from getting aggravated, because I have to realize that most of the kids that listen to that stuff are fucking 18 years old.
Right. They weren't around when we were around to see the genesis of where they started, and they go off and do their own thing.
Yeah. You can always tell, and for kids listening, you have to put this into perspective. You can always tell when a band is not nu metal by the bands they tour with. Look at Vane. They don't fucking tour with nu metal bands for a reason, because they're not a nu metal band.
No.
Disembodied is not a fucking nu metal band. They don't tour with nu metal. They toured with all hardcore bands. They're hardcore kids. They're not a fucking nu metal.
I think I argued with somebody about that
on Reddit. Yeah.
Yeah, they said Disembodied was like proto nu metal. No. They were a hardcore band through and through and through.
Yeah, enough. Martyr AD is not a fucking nu metal band.
Oh my God. I would stab somebody over that one. I would end up in jail, stabs over that one. So any other thoughts, Tim, on your number 19?
No, I think people listening, it's funny because a lot of people are like, I've never heard that band. And then they go listen to it and they're like, dude, where has this been? And I'm like, you just don't listen to me. You know?
Just don't listen to me. Fair enough.
Copy our stuff down and go listen to it.
We should put a playlist together on Spotify, like our favorite tracks off each album. We could do that. Yeah. Okay, so now we're on to number 18. I'm going ahead a couple years to the year 2000, and this may surprise some people considering what my thoughts on this album. Taproot, Gift. So I still find this album highly listenable, to the point where you put it on in the background and there's a whole bunch of tracks or a whole bunch of moments where I find myself stopping and staring at the speaker and nodding my head or singing along or rewinding because I go, oh, I want to hear the beginning of the song because it had this part and I remember this. I mean, the intros can be a little bit repetitive, you know, that they all start the intro in the same way. It's a standalone guitar, but it's a good album. I think the songwriting is there. I think they got nothing but better as time went on. But to me, I can put this on in the background and I'll catch myself singing along when I'm not even paying attention, which to me is a sign of a good album.
Absolutely. And we talked about that in an upcoming episode. I don't want to give it away, but you know.
Well, it depends. Is this going to be out before that?
No. Probably not.
Probably not. Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's highly singable. The songs are highly memorable. It's one of the most influential bands in that late stage period. I mean, you can't deny that. I mean, listen to all the bands. They were copying that fucking start to finish. I mean,
I have a question for you, Tim, because my interest with them waned after this album. Who did they tour with on the second album? Like you just talked about, you know, you could tell who bands put themselves by who they toured with. Who did they tour with? What was that? Poem? Was that the name of the album?
I don't want to say. I believe.
Or Poem was the single.
A Poem was the single. Yeah.
Welcome was the album.
Welcome. Yeah, that's a fucking great rock record.
Who did they tour with off Welcome?
Probably nu metal bands, but I see. I think that I mean, yeah, it's a nu metal record, but there's a lot of good rock elements in that record. That's another thing that people mix up a lot is like you have like a straight rock record and it's like, oh, it's nu metal. No.
Shit, I can't. It doesn't say who they toured with.
Holiday is listening to this and fucking
screaming. He's screaming at his computer right now. They toured with Disturbed on the Music as a Weapon tour.
Oh yeah. Who else was on that?
In 2000. What year was that?
2000.
That was 2000. And hold on, let's see. That was 2002. And also on that tour, the Music as a Weapons tour in 2002 was Chevelle and Unloco.
Yeah, nu metal.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think I've ever listened to Unloco.
It's funny that you bring them up.
Is it any good?
It's worth a try.
All right, I'll check it out. Whatever. But yeah, so more memorable, not more memorable, I shouldn't say, but it's more song comes on. I find myself singing along, which to me places it higher up in the list. So that's my number 18, Taproot's Gift.
All right. Speaking of Unloco, number 18 for me has something to do with Unloco. It's A New Revolution's Imerica, which was fronted by the ex-Unloco frontman, Joey.
A New Revolution.
Yeah, so this is a late stage band.
Okay.
I think this was like 2011, 2008 to like 2014, maybe. This is late stage nu metal.
Oh, wow.
This is ex-Slaves on Dope, ex-Unloco. I think that might be it. I think they were on like, what is that record? Is it Koch?
I'm looking it up now. So A New Revolution They were on Koch Records.
Yeah, okay. I thought
in
so.
2007. Their debut album was Rise, and you picked Imerica. Imerica was out in, oh, wow, that was out in 2010. Man, Tim, you're getting late. That's late, NuMetal.
Dude, super fucking fun record. It sounds like if you like Dope, I thought it when I first heard it, I thought it was people from Dope just in a new band. Because it sounds exactly like Dope.
But what's the difference? Is it more radio friendly?
It's super, super generic NuMetal. I mean, it's like typical generic as it gets NuMetal, but it's very fun I like fun music, especially NuMetal.
Right.
It's one of them records where you fucking after 5 listens, you know every lyric. I mean, it's super. I mean, if go on to the Imerica and read some of the fucking track titles, and you'll see exactly what I mean. Are you still on Wiki?
Yeah. Here we go.
Go on to the Imerica and read some of the track, and you'll know exactly what I'm talking about.
Track titles like, where is it?
I know I should have pulled it up in my Apple Music. I just forgot.
Oh, it was produced by Ben Schigel.
Was it really?
Yes.
Yeah, weren't they from Flint or something?
I think so.
That would make sense then.
Yeah, well, it would make sense because Slaves on Dope was Canadian right over the border.
Okay.
Yeah, Ben Schigel, record producer and vocalist when the band switched. It doesn't have the songs though.
Let me pull it up on my Apple Music.
While you're doing that, I'm going to grab a beer. So vamp for a minute.
Yeah. So, like I said, when I listened to this band, this is when I first started doing maintenance. Around 2008, and I just thought it was fucking dope. And I'm like, is that like the dude from Dope and just a new band? Because I could have swore at that time like something was going on with Edsel or something, and like they were like trying to kick his ass out or something. But it's let me find this for the people listening, because like I said, that the song titles are just and I want to wait for Jay to come back to talk about them. But see, all right, so you came at the perfect.
Whoa, no, what are these song titles?
So it's Broken Bones, Head Against the Wall, Crucify, Take Me Over, Killing Me, Life, Dead and Crazy. Like, it's just
definitely sounds like a NuMetal band.
Yeah, and it's like I was laughing the whole time you were gone because I started reading them. And like the lyrics are just like typical, I'm angsty and I want to beat people up and people hate me kind of shit. You know what I mean? It's
okay, yeah.
It's a super fun record, and I think that you should go listen to it because you might enjoy it. It's one of them records that like I would go back and listen. Like when we first started getting back into this, I was like, I want to listen to a new Revolution, and I put it on. I was like, yep, I remember just being just as cool as it was when I started listening to it.
So speaking of that, Tim, what is one album that you never heard back in the day, and now when you've heard it, you're like, man, I really like that. I'm kind of pissed I missed out on it.
I will save that because it's in my best of in this.
Okay.
List.
Okay. Mine too. Was just okay. All right. Any other thoughts on a new Revolution?
No. The first record is pretty good as well. I don't know if they had a record after this Imerica one, but I think people listening should give it a fair shot, and I think you'd be surprised of what you get with it.
Okay. So we're on number 17. My pick from New Jersey. The original vocalist was George from Marauder. 2001, Il Nino, Revolution. I went back and listened to this album. It was last summer. And I went back and listened to it when we were lining up Jordan from the Breathing Process to come on and talk about this album. Shout out to Jordan. Tim and I may be seeing you guys in Wilmington at the Grand coming up soon. They're playing with Worm Shepherd. Anyway, I went back and listened to this, and Tim, this is a fun, singable album. And the salsa moments and the flamenco guitars that what's his name brings, is it Mark Rizzo? Yeah. The flamenco influenced guitars that he brings, it lends itself to a really fun, singable album. All the songs have good choruses. All the songs are deeply enjoyable. And when I went back and listened to it, I think I actually messaged you. I said, man, I forgot how much fun this album is.
Yeah. The second track on that record is one of my favorite songs of all time.
But which one's that?
It's annoying because it's annoying because every time like we come in and I'm put on the spot, I forget everything. And I do, and I've been podcasting for like 7 years at this point, and I've done it on every show I've been on.
All right,
like,
second song is If You Still Hate Me.
I fucking love that track. One of the most catchiest choruses ever.
But here's the thing,
super
Tim.
Heavy.
I can rattle off the first 6 songs of this album, and I guarantee you, in your head, you will hear the chorus. Right? Starts at God Save Us. Then it goes to If You Still Hate Me, Unreal, Nothing's Clear, What Comes Around, Liar.
What Comes Around is huge for them, wasn't it?
Yeah. They had. Yeah, there was I think they did a video for that. I think.
I think you're right.
And that was their second single. Yeah.
I just remember watching them, and dude has a backpack on, and you're like, "What the fuck is this dude doing?"
Yeah.
Playing guitar with a backpack on.
It was kind of interesting. I saw them at the Seton Hall, the WSOU 15th anniversary bash, and they were fairly high up on the bill. I think they were one of the last bands to play, because I forgot who headlined, but I think they went on right before Hatebreed, and then Hatebreed, the mosh pit broke out. It was the entire size of a baseball diamond infield, and I basically was just standing in the middle, like, what is going on here? But yeah, that is if you never checked it out, shame on you. But if you haven't, go back and listen to it when you're driving around the summer with the winds down, and you'll find yourself singing along, and you'll find yourself nodding your head. It's just a fun album.
If you don't like, if you still hate me after listening to that, there's something wrong with you. That's an amazing track.
Mm-hmm. Definitely something wrong.
That is shining moment NuMetal right there. I mean,
yes,
you shine when you're fucking in that shit.
Yeah,
great fucking pick, man.
Yeah, good stuff. Good stuff. All right, Tim, what do you have for number 17?
All right, number 17. And the only reason I will put this on my list is because they've been labeled NuMetal their entire career. Orgy's Candy Ass. Absolute perfection record from start to fucking finish.
Another album that did not make my list.
That record is if I had to go top 20 of all time, that's in my top 20 records of all time.
Wow, that's a big statement.
I think that every song is just way beyond where people were at that moment. I mean, it's just written so fucking good, and the lyrics are just so good. I think that band, man, how they did not progress into a huge, just world beater band is fucking beyond me.
Yeah,
because I just think that genre at the time, like, you were getting bands like that,
they were very
just different.
So do you think, well, if they came out today, they'd be massive? Look at this. Look at success. Look at these. Jesus, have another beer, Jack. Look at the success of Drab Majesty. Look at the success of Soft Kill. Look at the success of Trevor Something. Right, that whole 80s synthwave inspired music. It's having a moment. It's having a moment. Yeah. And if they came out right now with that little tinge of electronic sound, I think they'd be huge.
And because I speak the fucking truth, and I don't really care if people get mad. And I'm not saying this in a bad way, people. So don't think this is a bad way. I think the one reason this band did not get as big as they should have been is because people used to think that Jay Gordon was gay. Because back then
it was a big rumor thing. Yeah.
Because back then it was cool to gay bash and blah, blah, blah. People, I'm not gay bashing. I'm making a statement, for fuck's sake.
No, back then it was times have changed. Times have changed. And back then they were effeminate.
He's very feminine, yes.
And back then, I guess that just wasn't the cool thing. You really had to be into it. Although it is kind of weird because Boy George, Duran Duran, all the bands that played in that 80s type of music, they all kind of had that androgyny, right? Was normal. Look at David Bowie, right? Yeah. Marilyn Manson even leaned into it later.
I love all that stuff.
So I don't know, but I think you're right. I just think they were a little bit too unique and a little bit too before their time.
Yeah, dudes were too cool to listen to them. I get shit for that all the time. You listen to that gay-ass band? What are you talking about?
Mm-hmm.
That record
what are you talking about?
Incredible.
Yeah.
He's a great lyricist. He's a great singer.
Their production, is it Amir that produces them? Right?
I could have swore that Gordon did a lot of that production as well.
But look at what they do now. Julian K is great.
Amazing band.
It's great. So they obviously
yeah.
had some talent. Yeah.
Yeah, but I really think that band suffered from just cool guys thinking they were too cool to like it.
Yep.
They were embarrassed or something, and it sucks, man, because I think there's a lot of closeted fans of that band. If you really went down and thought, if sunk into it, a lot of people would be closeted.
Yeah. Well, Tim, let's be honest here. A lot of people are closet NuMetal fans.
Oh yeah,
right.
Yeah,
they won't even admit it. But and the biggest sign to me is when Limp Bizkit announced that summer tour, and I went into r/hardcore on Reddit. Not that Reddit is representative of the general population as a whole, but there were people legit coming out of the board with like, "Yo, I am going to lose my mind if they play break stuff." And like there were as if for every try hard who would come on and go, "Oh, I can't believe you guys support that.
Oh, shit's fucking corny."
Yeah, there were other people who were like, "Yo, you can complain all you want. My Way is a fucking banger, and I'm gonna be singing it." So
it is a banger.
Yeah. Okay. So any other final thoughts on Orgy?
Yes. If you like Candy Ass and you haven't heard the records after, you're doing yourself a huge disservice because the record after that is just as good. Punk Static Paranoia, the third record, is a little bit different of it's Orgy, but it's heavier. I think they went to a 7-string on that record. That's a super dark record, but it's really good. The newer stuff they're putting out is more orgy-ish in the vein of Candy Ass. I think they're putting out a new record this year, so I'm looking forward to that. Nice. But yeah, don't be a tough guy, cool guy, and
those days are long gone. Yeah,
the fucking band is incredible. That should have been a genre exploding record.
Yep.
And how it wasn't, I don't fucking know, and I would love to ask Jay about that because it's just
Yeah, they were ahead of their time. I think they were ahead of their
way
time.
Ahead of their time. Yeah, I mean, look at the tours they were doing. Family Values. I mean, they were on what was that label? They were on. Was it Reprise?
I think it was Reprise. Yeah, a big name Hollywood label.
Yeah. Look that up real quick so we don't sound like assholes. I don't like sounding like an asshole. When I was on my other stuff, I don't really care about this. I don't like sounding like an asshole.
Let's see here. Early years, Candy Ass signed Korn's Elementary, which had distribution from from Reprise.
I thought so. Yeah. Okay. So I was kind of right.
Yeah. No, you were right within one standard deviation. Yep. Okay. Okay. So what do we got now? We're at number 16.
Yep.
At the halfway mark. So this is truly an obscure pick. Arguably not NuMetal, but I'm going to make the case that I think they are, and I think they are probably proto NuMetal. And if they had toured with more NuMetal bands, they would have been bigger. 1997, TVT Records. Does that give it away, Tim?
No.
Day in the Life.
Oh, okay.
So that band, for those of you Googling, all one word, Day in the Life. They had a 2-vocalist attack. The guitarist and the lead singer, which is George Reynolds, who was the original singer from New York hardcore band Mind Over Matter. And shout out to Sam Hoyos from the Red River podcast. He was Sam's podcasting partner on If I Ruled the World.
I did not know that for the longest time.
If you're listening, get George for me. I want to have him on the show and talk about this band. But anyway, bassist. The bassist was Chris Fleischman, which is Matt Fleischman, I believe. Matt Fleischman's brother. The bassist from VOD. So you have twin brothers both playing bass. That's kind of really funny. And the drummer was the guy who played in Medication.
Oh, yeah.
So I forget. He had a one-word nickname. Bonk, something like that.
Fuck yeah, I forget.
I forget what his name was. Blunt. No, guitarist. It was the guitarist for Medication, Blunt. And then Chris Fleischman. Okay. Yeah. So
the drummer Medication was Ray Mayorga, right?
Yes. Okay. You're right. Sorry. Now I'm getting my shit screwed up. They were kind of Helmety, kind of Jane's Addiction.
Yeah.
But they had a 2-vocal attack where George did the highs and the other guy did the melodies. And just the way the songs came together, they were awesome. I sadly never got to see them live. They were opening for VOD. And by the time I got through the security gates into the truck, their set was already done. But they toured with Soulfly, apparently, at one point. Go back and listen to, everybody listening, go back and listen to the first 5 tracks. Sign of the Times, Chameleon, 10th of the Series, Rise, and Self-Serve. And even go to 6, See You on the Way. this is a great album, and it is truly forgotten to the sands of time. TBT had no. I listened to an interview that I think they did on If I Ruled the World, where Sam interviewed George about it, and George talked about how TBT really, TBT has come out, like how terrible they kind of are. They were the ones who VOD did their last album with, right? From Bliss of Devastation was TBT. Yes.
Well, I thought it was Roadrunner.
No, their last album from Bliss of Devastation was TBT. And TBT had no idea what to do with them, had no idea how to support them. And I think things kind of fizzled out, because I remember George saying in the interview that this was, Mind Over Matter was a straight hardcore thing. This was their attempt to get more into the mainstream. I want to say that it was produced by Don Fury. I think.
Okay.
They get lumped in with alternative metal because look who I rattled off: Jane's Addiction, I rattled off Helmet. But if you like nu metal, if you like the two vocalist approach, if you like just well-written songs, if you're listening, check this band out. There is nothing of them on YouTube. It is so disheartening. Yeah,
it's like proto nu metal and proto post hardcore mixed.
Yes.
It's like it's a really good record that I have not listened to in fucking forever.
So you're right. It's a good call with the post hardcore, because if you think about their contemporaries, not only is it like some of that nu metal stuff, but it's also Orange 9mm, Quicksand, Far to an extent. They're very much in that vein. But I'm not saying they're a nu metal band. I think they're close enough and they have muddied the waters enough that they deserve inclusion. And again, I'm hoping I'm spearheading the Day in the Life revival, but I really do think they're one of those bands that's just going to unfortunately get lost to the sands of time.
I mean, it's kind of like when people argue that Glashall's a nu metal band, I think they're just a post-hardcore band.
I know, because I can't say Screamo. You're going to come through the screen and hit me.
It's not fucking.
If it's Screamo. Not Rites of Spring, it's not Screamo. I know. But
that's Orchid. It ain't fucking Screamo.
that's my pick for number 16. Very unique and obscure, but I can still go back and listen to it and sing it.
Yeah, great pick, man.
What is your number 16, Tim?
It's funny that you say that on your 16th is you don't really know if it's nu metal, because I really don't know if this one is nu metal either, but they get lumped in because the first record is nu metal. But Mudvayne's The End of All Things to Come. I fucking love that record.
Really?
I think I haven't listened to that in years. All over LD50. I think
that's
it wipes
a strong
the
statement.
floor with LD50.
All right, let me write this down. This is what I'm listening to tomorrow.
I think LD50 has maybe 3 good songs on it, and
it's heresy.
Death Blooms is one of the best Mudvayne songs ever. I will give them that. Dig is great, but I've heard it 17 million fucking times. I mean, the record is the first record's too long. It's just too much bullshit. Just give me the goods. And they gave me the goods on the next record. Every song is just straight banger on this record. Every single fucking song is a banger. And it's another, I like very dark music, and this is a very dark record as well.
It is a very dark record.
It's visceral as hell. It's brutal. It's very well written. I think that a lot of drugs were involved in this record, if I had to guess. I could be wrong. Sorry if people are listening in that band. If you were not on drugs, I'm very sorry. It just, to me, maybe it's just because I was on drugs at the time. But it just feels like a very drug-induced, brutal direction of a record. I think that a lot of people get that fame, and the drugs come easy at that time because people hand you that shit at that point.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, it's like Antichrist Superstar when that was written. I mean, how fucking the dude was, they were
out of their minds.
And you can hear
it. Psalm 69. They were out of their minds.
You can hear when a record is made on drugs. To me, The End of All Things to Come just sounds like it was just, maybe it was just liquor or drinking, but there was something being
mind altering
on that record. Yeah. Because it's it's very visceral.
I gotta be honest with you, Tim. I haven't listened to it in ages, but I just remembered it being overindulgent. Yeah. Is it overindulgent comparatively to LD50? Would you say?
I think LD50 is overindulgent.
Because I kind of would. Now that I think about the singles that I've heard of this album, I think the first one's probably more overindulgent.
Yeah, I honestly, when it comes down to it, I really can't consider it a nu metal record. I don't know what to consider, but I'm gonna put it in the nu metal genre. It's just more than nu metal to me. It's very complex music.
Yeah,
It's
they were at
I
this point they
mean,
were coming out into like more of like a heavy rock type sound.
it's just yeah. I think people just have to listen to it and give their own opinion on it. But I'm gonna put it in the nu metal canon for now.
All right, all right.
But yeah, if because there's a lot of people who've only heard LD50, and you'd be like, you never heard the other records? No, really? Because even the third record has some bangers on it.
I'm gonna go back and listen to it. I'm gonna hold my because I remember buying it for Best Buy, listening to it once ago. Nah, I think I
Yeah,
wanted LD52.
listen to it again because it's not LD50. It's a complete 180.
All right, all right.
So
Number 15, I have 1998 debut record, self-titled System of a Down. Now I know we said no big name bands, but I include this because System of a Down is not. They are not on the same level as Korn and Slipknot and Deftones and Limp Bizkit. They're not. I mean, granted, they got super huge and popular, but I don't put them in the same tier. They're nipping at their heels. This album was so, and I know you love these guys, Tim. It was so fucking goofy and wacky when it came out that I still put it on and I find myself, darts or spiders. Like I find myself singing along. And to me, that's the sign that they planted some earworms. Darren is amazingly talented as a guitarist. Their rhythm section is as solid as the day is long. Shabo only got better as time went on. But
the drumming's phenomenal.
He is an amazingly tight drummer, amazingly tight. And he starts to show it off in the later albums. But yeah, I have this on my list because I really do enjoy it. I really still have fun listening to it. The kombucha mushroom people, let's fucking go. I'm ready for it. I'm here for it.
Yeah, and yeah, you can put System there because I don't really think that they're. We couldn't have Korn, Deftones, Slipknot. We couldn't do any.
Our list would look like everybody else's.
Yeah. And I don't want to be that dude because your top tens are obviously going to have the self-titled Korn in it. You has to.
Right.
I'll System. Yeah, I mean, I can't stand a band lyrically or vocally. I mean, but yeah, you can't deny the fucking pure talent of that band.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I don't like the vocals, but I've said it before. It takes someone with a lot of talent to be able to do that kind of range.
Yeah. He definitely has some range.
I'll give them their due respect because they earned it, but I just can't listen to that band.
The banana terracotta pie. You're not a fan.
No.
So let's skip ahead, Tim. What's your number 15?
This was the record that you asked about if I didn't hear before. That's now on my top, and it's Blind Spots, self-titled record. That's a fucking amazing record.
Are they the Australian band, New Zealand band? Which one?
I think it's New Zealand.
Yeah.
Holy shit, is that band good? Yeah, the new 3-song EP they put out this year, dude, unbelievable, blown away. But this record is very, very special to me, man. Like I know I just heard it last year, but it grabbed me instantly.
That's awesome.
It's expertly fucking written nu metal stuff with more of that heavy scratching vibe to it and stuff. It's just a very fucking special record to me, man.
I remember listening to it and really enjoying it. It didn't crack my list, but I remember this is one of those bands that Holiday Kirk sent to us for the international episode where I went, man, these guys are really talented. It's a shame they didn't get a bigger nod.
Yeah, you should really go and listen to that record, man. I really can't speak about them as much because I really don't know anything about them, but I do know that record is very special right now for me. Like
awesome.
It came out 2003, I think.
Yeah, so 18 years later. Yeah,
it just instantly caught me like, yo, man, this is the kind of stuff that I really dig. It brought me back to the years of listening to that kind of stuff. Like when you just think of 2002 when you hear when you hear like Taproot's Poem or Gift, it just brings me back to a time when I heard a record that's that good, man. I'm just glad that it's in my vicinity now. So
that's awesome.
Like I said, I can't really say anything about it because I don't know anything about them, but amazing record.
Hey, the podcast has helped us find some new stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, so what are we at? We're at 14. All right, so number 14 for me, another one of your favorite albums. This is Power Man 5000's Mega Kung Fu Radio, 1997. And we talked about this. We have an episode, it might be out before this, where John Detox comes on to defend Tonight the Stars Revolt. I loved this album because it was so weird. You know, you have two percussionists, one guy playing a set, the other guy playing like a bongos and cymbals, and you had the funk bass, and then you had Spider's kind of weird vocal delivery, right? I mean, because he screams, he yells, and then it's then it's 20 miles of Texas, you know, like hit that weird sort of slow, deep baritone drawl. I went back and listened to this because I'm like, does this thing really as bad as everybody kind of makes it out to be? No, man. Neckbone, Tokyo Vigilante, Stand and 8. Some of those songs are really, really good. I can't stand Organized because I have watched that Ozfest VHS so many damn times I can't hear that song ever again. But I think it's a great album.
Another band that just does nothing for me. I appreciate it and all that stuff, and I know that they're back then they were huge, but I can't do it.
All right,
something about them, I just can't fathom it.
I did find the percussionist somewhere. I think it was LinkedIn or Facebook or something. I'm going to reach out to him. I want to have him on just to have that
Which is hilarious. We get an interview off LinkedIn. Like, that's amazing to me.
Yeah, new podcast depths. We're trolling right there. So what's your 14, Tim?
So this is a band that I absolutely loved when they first came out. And as the records progressed, I just got more and more into death metal and blah, blah, blah. But when we started this show back up, I was like, let me go back and listen to Static X. And Static X's Machine, what a fucking banger. That is, that's another band I think that was just ahead of their time, man.
Yeah.
Wisconsin Death Trip is a great record, but Machine it's a fucking machine, dude. Like, it's just it's industrial nu metal perfection. This I do wish. It's funny because I always wished that the production was better, and then they put out the fucking remaster, and it completely changed it. It's like a whole new record. Whoever did that remaster fucking nailed it because it's
we don't know who did that?
Completely different. No, I don't. Anyway, I think that, like I said, it's a band that's ahead of their time. I mean, just so many good songs on that record, dude. It's Static X. It was one of them bands where, like, when I used to bartend, a lot of people would, like, because I used to DJ on Friday nights, and my first hour would be metal when everybody was coming in, and then my last 2 hours were top 40. Because I only said the only way I will DJ is if you give me an hour of metal. And they said, okay.
That's fair.
Because, you know, it was all the people that were still there from work, and they were still there from, you know, the young guys. And then as Friday night progressed, you would get all the girls and the couples. So you have to play top 40. But I just always remembered everybody would come up. Can you play, you know, Static X? And I'm like, dude, I haven't heard Static X in fucking 10 years. And then I still didn't hear him for 5 years after that. And then I just had to go back, man. And especially, and you know this because when their new record came out, that was almost my number one record 2 years ago. And I just think that record is, like, I keep using this word, it's a monumental fucking release, man. And I think a lot of people would agree that's probably their best record. But go back and listen to it because there's a lot of the songs on there, dude. You're just like, holy fuck, I remember this now. Like, what's that one? Black and White. It's called Black. I can't remember the song titles, but there's a lot of good tracks on there, man. I will go back and check it out. To me, they're like on that level with Fear Factory, where like a lot of bands tried to duplicate them, but they just couldn't. You know what I mean? They're one of them bands where you can't duplicate them.
Right.
Wayne was just too much of a talent. It's kind of like Chino. Like, a lot of people are like, oh, he sucks. No, he doesn't. You can't replicate them vocals. You're not replicating Static X. It's not fucking happening. No. And to me, that puts them on a level where I think they deserve a spot, because it's just that kind of mastery to me is what I love. That's why I love Deftones so much. Yeah, they were something different. I got that on my list. That's tomorrow's second listen. Listen to the original, and then go to the remaster, and you're gonna be like, holy fuck, that's amazing. They made it better. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I will. That is albums number 2 and 3. So for number 13, I have one of my entries of stuff I didn't hear when it originally came out.
and now I listen to it all the time. 2000, Nothing Faces Violence.
Oh yeah.
So I had Pacifier, I had Audio Guide to Everyday Atrocity. I liked what I heard, but it didn't really stick. You know, it was good, but it didn't stick. And when we reached out to Jordan and he was going to come on to talk about this band, and I listened to this album for the deep dive, I listened to it once. I'm like, well, that wasn't bad. And then I listened to it again, and then I listened to it again. And now it's one of those rare things where I go, not rare, one of those random things where I go to Spotify. I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to listen to. What do I listen to lately? Oh, Nothing Face. I haven't heard that in a bit. And I put it back on. Like there's a couple of really hooky songs on there. And after listening to so much brutal death metal, it's kind of nice to hear a singer sing where you can actually understand what he's saying.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is my number 13. I really did enjoy this album.
Dude, Make Your Own Bones is one of the best lead off tracks of a record of all time. Just phenomenally written nu metal. The lyrics are great. Now, Matt Holt was just a genius songwriter, in my opinion. Lyricist. I mean,
yep.
You know, Tom's guitar playing is on another level. Like, I know it's like, well, I go back and I try and play a lot of that stuff, and it's not the hardest stuff to play, but it's very well arranged. And you can hear, I mean, Matt's vocal range is very monotonish, you would say, right? But he hits a different level of monotone throughout it. Like there's like a low monotone and then there's the high monotone.
Yeah, he's not dynamic.
Yeah, exactly. That's the word I'm looking for. But he's dynamic in his own sense of vocals.
Yeah.
If that makes sense to people listening.
No, it does. It does. He's got a limited range, but what range he does have, he expresses it very well.
It's very well done the way he did it. And I think that adds a lot to why you like that record, honestly. I think the vocals
it's just a fun it's a fun album. It's a fun album to go back and listen to. When I put it on and it's done, I'm like, shit, I'm gonna listen to that again. So
I literally would have been mad if you thought that record sucked. That's how good I think that record
is. It's good. It's good. I don't know what this is 2000 at this point. At 2000, I was listening to Hatebreed, Poison the Well. I still was listening to a little bit of nu metal here and there, but it was all the early Trustkill stuff and the early Ferret stuff. So that when hardcore, the metallic side of hardcore was becoming ascendant, Poison the Well, Every Time I Die, Zayo, all that stuff, Buried Alive. That's what I was into.
Yeah, and people listening, me and Jay are going to do a top 20 2000s metalcore.
Ooh,
yeah,
that would be a good one.
How about from 1995 to 2005? That's the only record you can pick.
That's a good bracket.
Yeah, that's what we're gonna do.
I'm writing that down.
And people listening, if you want to come on for that, but you have to be our age. I don't want no 20-year-old because I know you're just gonna pick every fucking record that everybody else with. If you're gonna come on, you have to be at least 35 to 45, and
you need to have some interesting obscure picks.
Yeah, you have to know what you're talking about. We're not having a kid on. But if somebody wants to come on for that, be our guest. But we are
jealous of the young kids who get to hear some of this stuff through virgin ears.
And we're gonna do a death metal top 20. Fuck it.
Yeah, and then we're gonna do brutal extreme stuff, and nobody's ever gonna listen to the show again. What's your pick for number 13, Tim?
Number 13, New Jersey's 40 Below Summer with The Morning After.
I was waiting for them to show up on your list.
Yes. Dude.
So
another band where the vocals are just very unique. I don't know what it is about that band, man, that a lot of people just didn't catch on to as well. I don't know what it was. I just can't explain why they weren't bigger than they were.
You think were they too far ahead or too far behind?
I think maybe
did they miss the wave? They missed the crest of the wave, you think?
I think it comes along to the lines where you always say maybe if they put out the record at a different time, that it would have been bigger kind of thing. I think maybe they suffer from that because every time I bring that band up, people are like, who? And I'm like, you never heard 40 Below Summer? No. I'm like,
because we're kind of prejudicial because it's from our area, right? Yeah. Like they were basically a local band for us.
Yeah. Was it Elizabeth?
Elizabeth.
I think it was the same place as E-Town was, because they shared a member at one point. And kids listening, E-Town Concrete is not a fucking new metal band. Stop it. They're not new metal.
They're a hardcore band.
Oh my god.
Their last album was really good though.
Yeah, I could see why people say because it's rap metal. It's not fucking new metal.
Ant Money is a monster though, and I still go back and listen to Made for War and the Renaissance. And what was the one that was the number 2? The second one?
The Second Coming.
The Second Coming, and then Time to Shine.
Fucking masterpiece.
Yeah.
It's a masterpiece. Yeah, this record has vibe. The Morning After has a lot of New Jersey hardcore vibes in it, but it also doesn't. It's really weird that I'm saying that. You can hear the hardcore influence in it, but the songs are so fucking good, and they're just so well written, and they stick with you. Like, they stick with you for days.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you really get into it, it's like, wow, dude. Like, that's a really good track. Like, you could just feel the energy in that record, man. And then as the records progressed, there would just be some songs that were like that, but the Morning After just had, like, Taxi Cab Confessions, man. You have to listen to that song, and you'll know exactly what I mean. Like, see, I have a very hard time of explaining my love for stuff because I'm just not very poetic, I guess you could say. That's why I use a lot of the same words for stuff, but I think you get what I'm saying, though.
Yeah, no, I get you. What's the album, Tim?
The Morning After. It's spelled morning as an MOURN.
I will go re-listen. All right,
listen to that record, man. Like I said, I'm very hard at describing stuff, so I'm always going to say the same shit. It's just a record that has stuck with me even when I stopped listening to nu metal for a little bit. I didn't really go out of nu metal completely, but when I did, like at a certain time, because I was really into hip hop for I'm still am very into hip hop, but I was listening to hip hop for like a year straight, just hip hop, because I missed so much of it. But that was one band that always stuck with me that I would go back and listen to. Shit like that, E-Town,
All right,
Il Nino, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, go check out 40 Below Summer.
All right, that's definitely on my list now. All right, so what are we at? We're up to number 12. So my number 12 pick is a band that I think I could argue is nu metal. I think I could argue they're not nu metal. This was their third album. This was, and as I say this, Rob, Little Bobby's ears are going to light up. Downset, Check Your People. So they started out as a hardcore band, but they toured with bands that kind of blurred the line. They toured with Orange Nine, they toured with the Deftones. They were direct support for Soulfly. They played the first touring year of Ozfest. They played the WSOU Birthday Bash. I think
guilty by association.
Yeah, I think the first album is good, not great. I think Do We Speak a Dead Language is great. I thought this album was awesome. Like, I really do think this album is awesome. If you want some, I guess I hate to make this comparison, but they're like a grittier, more down to earth Rage Against the Machine, I guess.
Yeah, it's post-hardcore stuff mixed with, that vibe.
Yeah.
It's guilty by association for them to get labeled as a nu metal band, I think. The same thing with E-Town.
Yeah.
They're guilty by association. So
Yeah, I think you're right. They did a whole bunch of EPs. The first self-title was 94. Dead Language was
the first one's a great record.
Yeah. Do We Speak a Dead Language, which has the first 5 tracks are bangers. That was 96. This came out in 2000. I think this was on Epitaph. Yes, this was on Epitaph. I think that there's some really standout songs on this. If you like Rage Against the Machine, if you like rappy sort of nu metal, check these guys out. Lil Bobby's gonna kill me. He's gonna kill me because we argue all the time. It's not a fucking nu metal band, but they toured with Dog Eat Dog. They toured
Biohazard.
They toured with Biohazard.
Yeah.
I mean, they opened for Pantera, but Pantera took out Machine Head. They took out Cold Chamber. They took out the Deftones. They took out anybody who was on their way up. So, I mean, they toured with Linkin Park, they toured with Slayer, Metallica, they also toured with Korn, Testament, Anthrax. So they're all over the place, right? They're literally adjacent. And you're right, guilty by association is the best way to put it. But if you've never heard this band along with Day in the Life, check them out. You'll probably enjoy this album.
Yeah, that's why a lot of bands get considered nu metal, because they're just guilty by association. That's just the cause of it. So,
you know what? We should probably do a debate on the Big Four's nu metal phase. So, like Saint Anger, Volume 8, The Threat is Real, Diabolus and Musica, and I don't know, Cryptic Writings. We should talk about is that arguably the nu metal phase for the Big Four? Upcoming episode. You've heard it here first, folks.
You think Cryptic Writings is?
I don't know. Is it Cryptic Writings or is it the one before that? Is it Euthanasia? Is it Risk?
Nah. I'll have to go back and listen to that.
Because Risk is terrible. Maybe it's Risk.
Yeah, it is.
It's really bad.
Oh, it's
really,
brutal.
really bad.
Yeah.
All right, Tim, what's your number 12?
Number 12, Down the Sun. That fucking record, man.
Really?
That is just... I went back and listened to that record. Holy fuck, is that a heavy? Just
dude, yeah,
it consumes you, man.
It's heavy.
Yo, whoever came up with, and we're gonna ask Cuck this, but like whoever came up with the arrangements of them like movie parts and shit, that record is just super dirty and it makes you feel dirty, man. And I love that.
Yeah, it's definitely grimy. It's heavy. It's I mean, even offensive is a word I could use to describe it. Like they were definitely. Do you think they? I mean, I don't know. I don't think they did it purposely. I can't wait to ask Cuke. Hopefully we can.
Cuke? Okay.
Yeah, it's Cuke. Hopefully the schedule holds and he can make it. But they almost out Slipknot as far as abrasiveness.
Dude, yeah. And I mean, that's the word I'm looking for. It's very abrasive. It's very like it makes you want to take your shirt off after and like wipe down and shit. And I love bands like that. Like it's kind of that feeling I get when I put on fucking the Denver band we always talk about. See, I always forget.
Oh, Primitive Man.
When I listen to Primitive Man, I just feel disgusting.
Oh, it's terrible. It's like the body. It's full of hell. You feel bad about yourself.
You feel guilty. It's so disgusting. Yeah.
And like Vermin Womb is even worse. Like it's like, oh my God, I need to shower. 2 songs I need to shower.
Dude, if you listen to the last song on that first Vermin Womb record and the screaming, oh my God, it's like it's nightmare music. To me, the Down the Sun was the nightmare music of nu metal.
It probably was.
It's just bleak as hell.
Yeah.
And then sound clips just add to it.
But there were some poignant moments on that CD. What was the one song? Hold on, I got notes here. The one song that I thought could have maybe had a run at radio. Listen.
Oh, well, there's always the radio hit, but if you go into the depths of the name of the song, it's dirty, man.
Yeah, Listen is the name of the song. It starts out okay, but then it gets more and more and more uncomfortable.
You always have the good words. It's uncomfortable as hell. Yeah.
Yeah. It's one of those bands where you're like, well, I kind of need to shower. I need to shower after this one. Right. All right. Holy shit. We haven't had one of the same band, let alone the same pick. So maybe that flip flops.
I think that's amazing.
I'll bet you it flip flops in the second half. So last pick for this episode, number 11. This is, here I am, shoot myself right in the foot. Here is the only band that it looks like has appeared on both our lists, Mudvayne, but I picked LD50.
Okay.
And I picked LD50 because, again, I don't really remember the second album. I remember being disappointed in it. But I said in the Caravan of Pain, Tattoo the Earth episode, first time I saw these guys was Tattoo the Earth. And they came out with makeup, and you're like, oh God, a Slipknot clone? Really, on the same tour? And then they start playing and you realize, holy shit, these guys are fucking talented.
Yeah.
And the bassist I mean, no offense to the guitarist, but the bassist and the drummer for me carry that band. Absolutely, because they're both absolutely insane.
It's Ryan, right?
Oh yeah, Ryan. And I forget the drummer's name. It's not Chad. It's not Greg. It's the other guy. We got to do eventually.
Chad's the singer, right?
Yeah, Chad's the singer and Greg's the guitarist. We got to eventually do that live stream where we watch that home DVD live in Peoria. But man, there's some really, really interesting musicianship. That's like the blah, 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 where they have the bass flourishes. I think Internal Primates Forever has the best bounce riff intro on any nu metal song ever.
That's a great song. That's one of my favorite songs on that record.
And I think I went back and listened to it, and I think it's just a fun standout record to me.
Yeah, I mean, and I said before, I shit on it before. I don't think that it's bad.
You just like the other one better.
I just think that, the other one's better. I just think there's too much filler and not enough killer in LD50. It's a lot of filler. There's a lot of just noise to me. But the songs that are killer are fucking killer. Like Death Blooms is fucking incredible. You ever hear Death Blooms live?
Yeah, Nothing to Gain,
God,
-1, I think is one of the songs I like.
Nothing to Gain's all right. Yeah.
Yeah. I can't listen to Dig anymore because it's
yeah.
And then when it became Berber Deng became a meme, or there's that. Have you heard the version where every time it goes Berber Deng, it speeds up?
It speeds up, yeah.
Oh my god, I laugh. Like I was in tears towards the end of that. But yeah, if you think Mudvayne is just kind of schlocky, or if you think about the stuff they did with Hell Yeah, and you're like, this is kind of cheesy, I can't listen to it. Go back and listen to LD50. Like it is a interestingly unique album that's equal parts heavy and impressive.
If you go on YouTube, there's a 9.5 hour video of just Berber Deng.
Oh, I put that on. I may or may not have put that on my work machine to prevent it from sleeping. Yes, that's my bottom half, my bottom 10. How about you, Tim? What's number 11 for you?
Number 11 is Spineshank's The Height of Callousness.
Ooh, good pick. Good pick. Why The Height of Callousness and not Strictly Diesel?
I knew this was coming. I like that record, man, but the Height of Callousness, man, and I said before, the industrial vibe in this record, like they did it to a point where it wasn't overdone, but they just had the flair of it in every song and the undertones, and it just came at the perfect time, and all them parts just make every song complete to me. And it's just heavy as fuck. It's one of them records where you're just impressed by the songwriting. Like it's strictly like, I think that's where they were coming into that. And then that record comes out and they peak right there, I think. Because what's the record after Height?
It's the one with the medicine bottle on the cover, right?
Yeah, what the fuck is that called? But I think they peak at that record and then they stay a little bit there and they go down. But then when they come back out with Silent Civilian, I think the metalcore roots come out in there, because I kind of think you hear them trying to go into that in The Height of Callousness a little bit.
Self-Destructive Pattern, 2008.
Yeah. Oh, but that was 2008.
2003. I'm sorry, 2003.
Yeah, I was gonna say, holy shit, because I think Silent Civilian was out around 8, right?
I think so. Yeah, that was his heavier project, right? Yeah, because by that time they were done. Yeah.
Yeah, and that goes along to Height for me. I think Santos is just an incredible songwriter. He's one of the best songwriters in that genre.
In this week's episode, by the time this comes out, it would be like 2.5 months ago. The Meat podcast, he does Strictly Diesel. And he talks about how they had to force Johnny. He started out like as a singing bassist, and they had to force him into just being a singer and then actually working on his craft. And that's what made him that much better. Like they said, that was the leap between Strictly Diesel and Height of Callousness.
I think New Disease is one of the best songs in nu metal. Like that chorus part is just so, it gets stuck in your head. It's one of them songs where you listen to it and you just hit back and listen to it again. That whole record is like that. Just the whole nobody. I fucking love that song.
Yep. Yeah. I listened to that the other day. It was not, once I heard the Ryan Meep episode, I went back and listened to it. It's a good album. It really is.
Yeah. That record is the ultimate head bobbing record. Every fucking song just makes your head go.
Yeah. And is that a good or a bad thing? Because a lot of the time signatures are almost 4 on the floor.
Yeah, but I think that's why I like it a lot.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Don't get me wrong, Strictly's good and the other one's good. It's just that record to me is peak Spineshank. And you got to take it out there. I mean, the Fear Factory influences in there, and I love Fear Factory. It's not really, they don't really do the double bass parts like them, but you can hear the Fear Factory influence in there, and you can hear the Ministry influence, and you know what I mean? It's all good bands packed into one with the NuMetal flair. To me, I think that's a standout record. And I almost didn't pick it because there was another record, and I was like, nah, that Spot and Shank record's just too good.
Oh, well, make sure you write down the ones that you left off, because that we'll talk about when we do our top 10, the stuff that didn't make your list that you kind of thought, I should, but I shouldn't, but I should, but I shouldn't.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. So that wraps the number 20 to number 11 of Jay and Tim's top 20 NuMetal albums. We will be back with another episode where we finish out the top 10. So once again, we want to thank all of you for tuning in, listening, watching, however you're enjoying Tim and I blather incoherently. So find us on Instagram and Twitter, newbreed_podcast, newbreedpodcast@gmail.com. What do we get right? What do we get wrong? What are we fucking crazy for thinking? Please let us know. Find us on Facebook. There is a New Breed podcast group. It's starting to get a little lively again, so hop on in and join the conversation. And until next time, this is the New Breed podcast saying cheers.